Hi everyone, Chief Druid Getafix here with Rhyme Signatures, the nerdiest music review this side of juicing up your entire village with magic potion in order to beat the living snot out of the local Italian invaders. And today we're going to be doing a review of the new Green Lung album, This Heathen Land. A little while ago, I did a studio albums tier ranking of Ghosts albums with my buddy Notes Reviews, and one thing that I certainly made quite vocal during that video was how disappointed I was with their most recent album Impera, and how much I felt like that album failed to meet the mark of what I had come to expect from the band. Gone was the lo-fi, retro-sounding production, the sinister occult vibes in the lyricism, the feeling of being a small but powerful voice in the indie doom metal scene, replaced by massive stadium rock numbers and poppier hooks and sensibilities as the spotlight of the mainstream shone brightly onto them. In short, I felt that Ghost had lost their roots in favour of a much more mainstream, accessible and easy to digest sound, which, while not resulting in an objectively bad record, certainly resulted in a disappointing one. Thank goodness then for UK-based Green Lung, who have quite simply delivered unto us the album that I wish Ghost had made. But not only that, this is easily equal to, if not better than, the very cream of the crop of Tobias Forge and his ghoulish cronies. Now, I'm not here to compare apples to oranges. After all, while both bands might be fruits and their flavours might be similar in some fashions, the textures and aftertaste are sufficiently different that we can appreciate both bands without it needing to be a, competition between them. So who the devil are Green Lung? Formed in London in 2017, we have Tom Templar on vocals, Scott Black on guitars, Joseph Gast on bass, John Wright on keyboards and Matt Wiseman on drums. This Heathen Land is their third studio album and their first on Nuclear Blast Records. Now, I can remember having a great time with their sophomore Black Harvest back in 2021, but I also remember that it didn't completely stick with me, mostly serving as an entertaining diversion than something I really got to sink my teeth into. It is safe to say, though, that this Heathen Land has completely blown apart my expectations. Now, I went into listening to this record expecting something fun, reasonably entertaining and distracting, but not anything that would threaten my year-end list. But what I got was one of the most engaging, accessible, interesting and immediately enjoyable records of the year that I have not been able to stop listening to since it came out, and I can't see this coming off my daily playlist for quite some time. This really does feel like Green Lung have cracked the code. Like, this is the album that will see them blow up and become one of the bigger names within the underground modern doom metal scene. And it's due to how well they've incorporated outside influences from classic bands into their own folksy, druidic, occult take on the genre that's made this such a roaring success for me. The guitars have equal parts Brian May and Tony Iommi vibes, wailing and soaring in equal measure to delving into the murk of some sludgy and molasses-thick riffing. The keyboards evoke classic Deep Purple at times with their iconic organ sounds, and Tom Templar's vocals remind me of Tobias Forge if he was trained to unlock the power of his voice by Edguy's Tobias Sammet. Everything just sounds so pristine, so immaculate and well sculpted. There's not an ounce of fat or flabby excess on this album. The whole experience is a tack-sharp 42.5 minutes, and outside of the very brief scene-setting prologue track, not a single second is wasted. Every part of this album has something cool going on, something creative or otherwise interesting. I never once felt bored during my time with This Heathen Land. The band have truly unlocked their full powers here, and opening track The Forest Church shows this off brilliantly. Slow, dirgy verses make way for enormous bombastic choruses, where Templar shows off that Tobias Sammet-infused wail I referred to earlier, and it's absolutely glorious. The way the track moves from this pondering, deliberate, gentle verses, where the doom aspect of the music feels the strongest and most at the forefront, to the power metal-esque melodic choruses is absolutely riveting and makes for an unforgettable start to the album. Close things off with an amazing dueling guitar and keyboard solo, and the band have exploded with the loudest bang, but things are only just getting started. Mountain Throne makes me think of if Mastodon had been around in the 1970s, giving me that familiar and enjoyable sludge metal groove to everything, at times evoking Sleep's Holy Mountain, but with the tempo turned up a little notch. The chorus here is the shining star and certain to get stuck in your head after just a single listen. This track is such a great one for Templar's vocals. He's got this incredible presence and power that's just so infectious to listen to, and I simply can't get enough of his style and delivery. The instrumentation isn't left behind either, as Scott Black busts out an incredible display of axe work that honestly just leaves my jaw dropped to the floor. The third track of Maxine, Queen Witch is an immediate favourite, with a funky retro keyboard riff driving the song along at an absolutely cracking pace before giving way to an amazing bass and drums groove. The vocals are thumping, chantable, and guaranteed to be yelled out loud by every single person in the pit at any live performance in the future. This kind of feels like the band's Square Hammer, you know. Big keys, big vocals, big chorus, and an instant earworm. I absolutely love this song and I can't stop listening to it. The big keyboard bridge is pure Deep Purple and I can feel my heart rate pumping up every time it swings into view. The band decide to slow things down a little bit with fifth track One for Sorrow, moving the pacing and energy of the opening numbers to a more traditionally doom metal song, allowing big church bells to sound out with sinister vibes, with crunching guitars and eerie backing keyboards across some spooky sounding vocal lines. It's a fantastic song, focusing more on huge, slow-moving bombast than on speed and technicality, and for me it's an obvious highlight on the album. At 6.5 minutes long, it's one of the lengthier tracks, but like I mentioned earlier, not a single second is wasted. Even when the instrumentation pulls back a bit, it's to allow the misty, graveyard at midnight-esque atmosphere to seep in. The keyboards around the 4 minutes 40 second mark are absolutely spine-chilling and one of my favourite moments on the entire album, and the way they lead into the best lyrics on the song is nothing short of breathtaking. 1 for sorrow, 2 for mirth, 3 for a funeral and 4 for a birth, 5 for heaven, 6 for hell, 7 for the devil himself. It's pure, unapologetic 70s occult doom lyricism and I absolutely love it. The sixth track of Song of the Stones sees the band enter a more relaxed state, channeling of all things Fleetwood Mac. I mean, listen to the first half of The Chain and then this song and tell me you don't hear the inspiration. It's like a darkened Celtic version that's been run through a druidic filter in a windswept misty moorland. The atmospherics on this track are absolutely amazing and it's really excellent to hear the band experimenting with this kind of stripped down, intimate songwriting. The instrumentation is very basic, placing the emphasis on the writing rather than the technicalities, resulting in a song that feels more powerful than the sum of its parts and leaves me feeling chilled to the bone. The guitar solo around halfway in, that's how you write a memorable solo. Nothing flashy or overtly technical, just every note picked precisely, every nuance felt by the listener. And then the dreamy, mist-like vocals and woodwinds with the keyboards drifting in. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. The last triple hit of songs, though, sees the band roar back into heavy metal mode with some absolutely blistering axe work on display. The Ancient Ways feels like what would happen if you blended Queen with Black Sabbath. Templar channels his inner Ozzy with some of his delivery, and Scott Black's guitars are skirting around that kind of familiar wailing tone from Brian May in just the right amount of places. We still manage to get some breathing room though around all the huge riffs, and the band are very good at ensuring that you never feel overwhelmed. The penultimate song of Hunters in the Sky is another favourite for me, in an album absolutely chock full of killer riffs, memorable passages and hooky choruses. This is probably the most infectious of them all. It's got this driving Iron Maiden-esque groove, feeling like a relentless march of a rock band who really knows how to rock you. We're just one galloping bass line away from this fitting on an album like Seventh Son or Powerslave. It's impossible not to want to throw the horns and scream alongside Templar during the chorus when he reaches for the high heavens towards the end of the song and pitches up with an insane falsetto wail. And we segue into an incredibly Deep Purple-esque keyboard solo. I'm just about ready to bust one. Then Scott Black shreds out yet another amazing solo, and I feel like I'm going to need a lie down and a cigarette. The album finishes on Oceans of Time, and being the longest track on the album at nearly 7 minutes long, Green Lung prove that they've not run out of ideas yet. The opening keys give me cause to think a little bit of Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds, evoking a similar sinister and discordant emotional feeling. Templar's powerful, stoic voice kicks in briefly before the band erupts entirely around him, everyone throwing in their best, most powerful and victorious sounding performances yet. There's a huge proggy feeling to this song, you know, from the lyrics to the structuring and the virtuosic playing from everyone involved. I mean, if the band ever wanted to go full prog doom, then this song is proof that they've got the chops to do so. The song flows in clear movements, eschewing the more traditional structuring of the rest of the album, and it's a magnificent way to close things off. Everything feels like it's rising to a climactic epic point. The final building vocal run, the keyboards, the eventual climax and subsequent winding down. It's all spectacular and such an amazing payoff for an album that's had more standout moments in its runtime than some bands have managed in their entire discographies. So what else can I say about Green Lungs' This Heathen Land? In case they hadn't made things abundantly clear in this review, I am absolutely fawning over this album right now. This is everything I have wanted from this kind of music for quite some time now, and this is easily my favourite spooky metal release since Ghost's 2015 masterpiece Meliora. Everything on this record simply works. This is one of those few albums where I honestly have nothing that I can complain about. Nothing that gives me cause to think, yeah, but, you know, the production is great, the instrumentation fantastic, the vocals superb, the atmospheric second to none, the pacing and structuring of the album is essentially flawless, and the entire experience is so Moorish and addictive that all I want to do when the album is finished is dive right back into it without a moment's hesitation. I look forward to pressing play on this Heathen Land. I get excited thinking about certain individual moments across its runtime and the build-ups to my favourite parts. It's a chocolate box of wild, crazy, inventive flavours built around a bedrock of classic themes and ideas with some inspiration from the old masters, but never crutching on them. Green Lung is identifiable in what they're looking to achieve, but the album is uniquely them. The sound and overall vibe check is exclusively Green Lung, and any comparisons to other bands is purely for reference point. I absolutely, unreservedly adore this album. I think it's one of the most exciting and enjoyable releases of the year, and one that I simply cannot recommend enough. Absolutely pick this one up in physical format, go see the band live, just throw them your money. It is a strong album of the year contender for me, and I cannot wait to go and listen to this again and again. This, guys, as well you should know by now, is all of course just my opinion, so if you have listened to this fabulous new record by Green Lung, please tell me what you thought about the record in the comments down below. If you did like this video, please do share it around with anyone else you think would possibly enjoy it, and please do consider subscribing to the channel for some more content. My link tree will be left down below in the comments, where you will find all the places to find me on social media, as well as a link to my Ko-fi page if you're feeling particularly generous and want to help support the growth of the channel. But until next time, guys, as always, keep your rhyme signatures extremely odd.